All right, welcome back to the Commanders Declassified podcast. Your podcast. Look at me, I'm all tripped up. For all things Washington Commanders, the Commanders are now 2-1 after defeating the Las Vegas Raiders, led by Geno Smith, Ashton Genty, and Max Crosby. I will say the Raiders have one of the worst offensive lines in the history of football, but the Commanders took full advantage of that. Eric, you were live and in person, man. How was the game from Northwest Stadium?
Yeah, first things first. Shout out to Raiders fans. Those guys travel like champs. I am not exaggerating when I say that stadium was probably 50-50 split with fan bases. There were Raiders fans everywhere, and they were cool. So I don't know what kind of rap they get, but shout out to Raiders fans, man. They were all there. They were awesome. Just hanging out. Just they know what they got. We know what we got. We were just kind of shooting the breeze. So that was great. Shout out, love the Raiders fans. You guys are good people. And actually, I had been to a game in Oakland like close to 30 years ago now, and it was the same thing, man. I was just there watching my Skins play the Raiders, and same thing, man. Everybody up there was awesome. So I like Raiders fans. I don't care what the Chargers fans and Broncos fans think of them. I like Raiders fans. That said, one name you forgot to mention was Trey Tucker, because that's pretty much the only guy that showed up for the Raiders that weekend. That guy was unbelievable. Um, yeah, he was just smoking guys. There was a lot of coverage bust in the secondary, but Trey Tucker was money. Um, yeah, good time all around though. It was just an all phases just domination of the Raiders. So it was a great game to be at and great game to watch.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Um, got us back on track. Mariota was just doing everything he needed to do inside of Cliff's offense to keep us competitive. Our run game looked sharp. I got no complaints. Mike, anything that you saw that needed to be improved on from that Raiders game, or was it all good for you, man?
Nah, they did pretty much what they needed to do. Took care of their food. Could it have been a little smoother? Sure, we can argue that, but I think what a lot of us have to understand now, especially that we're starting to like evolve into the upper echelon of NFL, is that even the bad teams can beat good teams. For those that grew up as Redskins fans, there's been plenty of times where we had upset wins over teams that eventually went on to win the Super Bowl. So the season is really, really long. It's even longer now than it was back then. So just enjoy the ride. And I'm kind of talking to myself too because I mentioned this earlier in the chat. Washington, I think they're 16-7 in their last 23 games, and I can't remember a time like that ever since I've been a fan. And it's like I'm still a bit pessimistic about it all, but games like Sunday, it'll make me feel better. And yeah,
Yep. And seasons when we beat Super Bowl champions, it was the Patriots that one year. I was at that game, and the Buccaneers, the year the Buccaneers won the Super
hold
Bowl.
on about that Patriots game. My
Uh-oh.
favorite stat, one of my favorite all time stats. Remember when the Patriots went on like that incredible like 20,
Mhm.
30 game winning streak or whatever?
Yep.
The
Yep.
last game that they lost before they went on that streak was to Washington.
That's
So
right.
it's like they lost to us, and it's like they lost to us, and they lost their mind. Just went crazy on the NFL over the next 2 years.
And I
So
was
yeah,
there.
Yeah. So there was a little run. There was like 5 or 6 years in a row in like the 2000s where like every year the eventual Super Bowl champion lost to Washington that year. Because
Yep.
I remember it was the Patriots, the Saints, I want to say the Colts one year, the Packers. Like every year, those teams during the regular season lost to Washington and ended up winning the Super Bowl, and it was like 5 or 6 years in a row. So, yeah, that was um,
and
really the slight glimmer of hope that we had as fans, is that we might have a significant win against the eventual Super Bowl champion, because we were never sniffing a Super Bowl back in those days. That was for sure.
that's why I say just enjoy the ride, man. Because even our best season ever, I hate bringing it up, but our best season ever, um, we lost to the Cowboys in week. I forgot what it was, but we were undefeated.
Well,
We had an undefeated season, and they got us and ruined our undefeated season. So yeah, incredible.
Yep. The Patriots and the Redskins, 2000
two,
something something. Yeah,
2002.
2002.
Steve Spurrier coached Washington Redskins.
I
Beat
was
Belichick.
there. Yep. Trunk candidate, I believe, was a player there. And the year when we beat the Bucks, I remember that. LeVar Arrington absolutely destroyed. Was it Michael Shipman? I don't remember who their running back was, but that was a long, long time ago. And I feel like the configuration of FedEx has changed so much over the years. I remember being there those years. I also remember the year I went the year the Jason Campbell got benched for Todd Collins. I don't think the Chiefs won the Super Bowl that year, but that always stood out in my mind because everyone was booing Dan Snyder, and it was such an intense. Oh, did I just say his name on this podcast? All right, let's move on. Let's move on.
Yeah.
We're
He who
moving.
shall not be named. It's like you might as
He-
well say Voldemort.
Voldemort. That's right. Shout out to Bobby Wagner too, man. He had 2 sacks against the Raiders. He was flying around. Trey Amos is a boss. Couple quick stats to throw out here at you before we move on. The PFSN, I think that's Pro Football Sports Network, put out the highest graded rookies in the NFL through 3 weeks, according to PFSN's impact metrics. Number 1, Will Johnson, Michigan alum, cornerback. Number 2, Trey Amos of your Washington Commanders. Armand Membu of the Jets is number 3. Tyler Warren is number 4. He's with the Colts. Xavier Watts is number 5. He's with the Falcons. That's important because we played him this week. Number 6, Tyler Booker of the Cowboys. Number 7, Jahade Barron of the Broncos. Number 8, Noel Williams of the Chiefs. Number 9, Emeka Ibuka of the Buccaneers. Number 10, Abdul Carter of the Giants. Number 11, Jackson Halls of the Bills. 12, Mason Graham of the Browns. 13, Kelvin Banks Jr. of the Saints. 14, Harold Fanning Jr. of the Browns, who's been just a freaking absolute stud as a tight end. Number 15, Elijah Roberts of the Bucks. 16, Will Campbell of the Patriots. 7, Tedoroya McMillan of the Panthers. 17, or tied for 17, Jahad Campbell of the Eagles. And number 19, any guesses, guys?
It better be Bill.
No. Carson Schweizer
Really?
of the Browns. Carson Schweizer.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
he's balling. He's balling. He's balling.
Why
for
you
sure.
set us up like that? Where's Bill?
Really
Like,
good.
isn't he still the lead and rookie running back, or did Jenkins take over or something? And that's another name I didn't hear.
I think Hampton might have taken over. At least I took over him in my fantasy league. Anyway, by the way, Bobby Wagner and the Commanders defense last week generated pressure on 58.8% of QB dropbacks last week. Go ahead, Joe Witt. Go ahead.
Yeah, this Washington team has proven this year that it is capable of absolutely destroying bad offensive lines, as we saw against the Giants and the Raiders. The Raiders' offensive line, I saw a stat. Ashton Genty for the Raiders had 1 yard after, or 1 yard before contact total for the game. That was his. Basically, he had 19 carries, and he had 1 yard before contact. He was hitting the backfield basically every play. That interior line of the Raiders was awful, and Deron Payne and the whole defensive line really were fantastic, but Deron Payne especially was just excellent that game. He was wreaking havoc in the backfield the whole time.
Yep, and Dorrance Armstrong, 6 sacks in his last 6 games, so killing it out there.
I think he's Armstrong's leading the league in pressures. I believe he has 23. If I'm misremembering, my apologies, but he has the most in the league so far. So shout out to Cuz.
Baller. All right. Whole different group coming into town. Well, we play this week. Is this Monday night game? No, it can't be Monday night. Let me see what
this is our last 1 o'clock game
until
our last 1 o'clock game until December when we play the Vikings, I think.
That's right. 1 o'clock CBS, Sunday the 28th. All right. So Atlanta, I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. They are led by Raheem Morris. He used to work for the Commanders. They just fired their wide receiver coach, Ike Hilliard, who also spent time with the Washington Commanders. They are a 1-2 football team. They just got the doors blown off of them against Carolina, who had, I believe, was previously winless. The Atlanta Falcons have the number 1 passing defense by yardage in the NFL this year. They have a tremendous running back. They cannot manufacture enough points, and they don't manufacture enough through the passing game. And if you get up on them by 7 points, it's pretty much good night, Charlie, for that offense there in Atlanta. Their key players, their starting quarterback is Michael Penix Jr. Kirk Cousins did play last week, but that was in a blowout. Bijan Robinson is an all-world running back. Is he Saquon Barkley? No, but he's pretty dang close in terms of effectiveness. They also have Tyler Algier. He is a very, very good backup running back. Their wide receivers, Drake London. You remember Drake London? There was a time when he was rumored to be to the Commanders. That did not come to fruition, and he has really had a very solid career in Atlanta. Ray McLeod. Hey, just give him points just off his name itself. Come on, Ray. Very solid, although older receiver. Their tight end is Kyle Pitts, senior Kyle Pitts out of Florida. All-world athlete at the tight end position. They line him up outside a bunch to get matchups. He is a receiver in a semi-tight end body, but hasn't found the end zone as much as he is thought to have. Anyway, offensively, that's kind of what they have. Plus their offensive line folks. Jake Matthews is a good young tackle, and a bunch of other folks. A good tackle. I don't know how young he is, but anyway, Eric, thinking about the offense for the Falcons, which of those pieces is the most dangerous piece for our defense?
I don't know, man. I mean, Bijan Robinson, you think, because if you look at what the Packers were able to run and able to run on this defense with their solid offensive line play and a very, very good running back. The Falcons did put up 130 rushing yards last week against Carolina. And actually, if you look at the box score, they pretty much won every category except the scoreboard. They got beat 30-0. They outgained them. Passing, rushing, yards per play, first downs, better third down efficiency, more plays run. Time of possession is pretty much equal. So it's wild that they lost that badly when they were leading in all those stat categories. But they can run the ball, they can throw the ball, they just apparently can't score. So that's something to keep an eye on. Drake London does not. Well, Drake London wouldn't normally scare me, but the condition that the Commander secondary is in right now is a little concerning because they had Amos and Lattimore both went out with injuries last week, so we'll see where they're at. And as far as their ability to play, we lost Will Harris to a broken leg. We signed Macho Man Darnell Savage this week. We'll see how much he can play. So the receiving core, with Pitts and the other guy you said, I can't even think of what his name is though. Drake London, yeah, and Darnell Mooney has always been a guy who can make plays. He's good for a big play or two a season. And with the injuries in the secondary, that's a little concerning. I think Washington, the run defense has been really stout outside of the Packers game, and I think again it was a short week, and it was just a weird week. I don't know if that was like a sign, but I think the team that showed up against the Giants and the Raiders, I think that's your week-to-week Commanders team, and that run defense is really good. That defensive front is very stout. The good thing that I like is that the Falcons' really strength, their offense is kind of predicated around that run game. And Washington's strength is playing the run. So it's kind of strength on strength, and the Falcons, more of a weakness, but I think they may have a little bit of an advantage in the passing game if they choose to do it this week, if Washington can't get pressure. So as far as who scares me the most, I mean, Bijan's just a great running back, but I think the passing attack in general might be a little scary this week, depending on the condition of the secondary in Washington.
Yeah, and it really depends on what that offensive coordinator draws up. I know they brought their offensive coordinator out of the booth and onto the field to try to help. Yeah. Penix Jr. is averaging about 6.1 yards per pass, 58% completion, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 4 sacks. He is not having a good season. He's only thrown for, I guess, 605 yards is not too bad. But
from what I've seen, he's only got one speed on his passes. He just throws fastballs constantly.
Yep.
And until he really develops some touch, he's going to continue to struggle. Hopefully he doesn't develop touch this week.
Absolutely. Mike, from the defensive perspective of the Commanders, how are you stopping this offense for the Packers?
The Falcons, you mean?
What did I say? Packers, sorry. I'm still having nightmares. The Falcons.
I was about to say, still having nightmares, son. Sorry, it's you. Of course, you got to focus on the run. You really got to focus on the run. Um, I I know the Packers ran on us last or 2 weeks ago, but Jacob's longest run was 10 yards. It was actually Love that got the longest run on us. For the most part, I think the run defense was okay. Um, it's just that pass defense is shaky, and I can't believe in 2025 you have a defense that can't run zone correctly. Every single game so far this season, there's been a major blown assignment in the zone defense, and it's like you also don't want to risk running man versus a mobile quarterback, and that's like majority of the league now. So I don't know as far as the Atlanta stopping Bijan, that may be enough if you put the ball in Penix hands, but with the losses in the secondary, Savage coming in, not knowing the whole playbook, even though he did play a couple of games already for Jacksonville, like he didn't play last week, I believe, so he's a bit rusty. And yeah, um, they're gonna have to stop Bijan and yeah, try not to blow in these zone coverages. It's really that simple. If they can do that, they can limit them to, I'll say, less than 20 points.
Yeah, only one receiver has caught a touchdown this year from the Falcons, and that is Bijan Robinson. None of their wide receivers have a touchdown at this point. Bijan also leads the Falcons in receiving yards, even though he is third in targets and he is third in reception. So you stop Bijan, you stop the Falcons altogether. All right, flipping the field. The Commanders' offense will most likely be led by Marcus Mariota this coming week again. He did an excellent job against the Raiders. The Falcons' defense has a bunch of guys, which you might or who you might know the most. Jesse Bates III, who was with, I believe, the Bengals for a long time. Xavier Watts, AJ Terrell, and a bunch of other guys. Now, this is the number one pass defense in the NFL based on yardage, as I said earlier. So these are not just pushovers. From a statistical perspective, they have a couple of guys with interceptions. I believe they have 2 on the year. Xavier Watts and Bowman Jr. both have one. From a sack perspective, this defensive line will not get after you in any sort of crazy way. And there really aren't any elite pass rushers on this team, though they do, I think, play good collective pass rush and contain on defense. It's not the Packers by any stretch. Their leading sacker only has 1.5 sacks on the year. There are 2 of those guys, Dorless and Harrison. Offensively, Eric, what are we doing to this Falcons defense this week, man?
Well, that's a great question. I think we saw what this team should be doing, especially if Marcus Mariota is the starter again this week. I think it's the Mariota revenge tour. Do we play Tennessee this year? Because we got the Raiders, the Falcons. I think if Mariota's the guy, I think the blueprint is what they did last week. They're gonna be a run first team and a run heavy team. And I think you can have success running the ball against this Falcons team. They're good. They're a solid defense. I mean, they held the Panthers to 110 rushing yards, and the Panthers' rushing attack is pretty solid as well. But I think Washington has kind of found the formula, maybe with benching Brandon Coleman in favor of Chris Paul. Seemed to do the trick last week. Opened up a lot of holes. I think you're going to see that. And unfortunately for the Bill stands out there, I think it's going to be a running back by committee. We saw last week everybody they split carries pretty evenly among the 3 running backs that were active. I think you're going to continue to see that, and it's going to be a Mariota. Ideally, you want Mariota throwing 20 to 25 passes, and you want a run heavy offense. And if you can, rack up another 200 yards rushing, it's going to be a long day for the Falcons. But I think that's the blueprint. You're going to be a run first and a pass when needed, the occasional deep shot. And it's going to be a nice, boring win, but probably a dominant one if that's the way it shakes out.
Now, Eric, do you change your opinion if Terry does not go since he's dealing with the quad injury?
Oh, man, it's Chris Moore season, man. That guy, I'm going to tell you what, being at the game, Chris Moore was so open so much. It was wild. Like I saw that guy running wide. Like Mariota just didn't hit him. He had a lot of open plays. He's actually, I was really impressed with him. He's the receiver that really stood out really well. But no, I would expect Zach Ertz to have a really busy day. And probably if Noah Brown can go, I think, he's got a little bit of a rapport with Mariota as well. But I think those are the guys that are going to have big days. And if Terry can't go, I think it's going to be even more of a run heavy day, but you're going to have to still take your deep shots. Maybe Jalen Lane. I can't believe he didn't come up with that pass in the end zone. I don't know exactly what happened on that. Would have been a great catch, but it was a catchable ball that an NFL receiver has to make. But I want to see more Jalen getting the ball in his hands in space. But again, I think especially if Terry can't go, you're going to be a run first team and pass when needed. And just take your deep shots when you can. But that's the formula for victory for this team, I think, all season long.
I agree with you, man. Ground and pound, run that ball. Mike, if you are the Falcons defensive coordinator, how are you thinking about stopping this Commanders offense?
Make Mario to throw, especially if McLaurin isn't playing. Is he the best passer? No. That's why I want to put the ball in his hands. I don't want them running the ball, because if they're running the ball, just like any other offense, they kind of have you. They can have their way with you, I'm saying. And yeah, now if they sell out for the run, though, like E already said, Chris Moore and the other receivers are more than capable of taking advantage of it. But it may be something that Atlanta has to risk and do in order to beat Washington, because even against the Packers, they were able to run the ball every game. It just didn't run it enough versus Green Bay.
Right.
So I see no. Hopefully Kingsbury understands it. He gets it now. Just run the ball. I think the running backs had 23 combined carries on Sunday. If I'm remembering correctly, sorry. I need 30. I need 30 between the three running backs, man. I need 30 carries. I don't care if Atlanta is selling out for the run. I think all three of the running backs, well, maybe except for McNichols, it seems like he's just ready to go whenever. But I do think Krosky, Merritt, and Rodriguez are better the more carries they have. They're not only wear out of defense, but they just have a better feel for the game as it goes out. I can see that with both of them. It's just that for some reason in 2025, offensive coordinators don't want to bell cow that running back anymore. So it is what it is. But I say, man, take turns. Make this upcoming game a Krosky Merritt game. Rodriguez had 11 last week. Give Krosky Merritt the double-digit carries this time. But yeah, it's going to be hard for Atlanta to stop them, especially after just giving up 30 to the Panthers. And Baker cooked them too in week 1, threw for 3 touchdowns, even though he ain't throw for a lot of yards. So yeah, it could get scary for them, but I think they could limit the offense, but it's going to be difficult for sure.
Facts. All right, Eric, give me a key player and how you think the game plays out, including a score.
Yeah, I think the key player for Washington this week might be Mikey Sainristil, because he might be the only healthy defensive starter back there, him and Quan Martin. And, if one of those guys, if Lattimore or Amos can't go, do they bump Sainristil back to the outside and have Noah play inside, or do they just have Noah jump outside? That'll be an interesting thing to watch. It looked bad that, there was some serious blown coverages last week, and I don't expect that to get much better when you start missing guys. So hopefully, Lattimore and Amos are ready to go, and everybody can kind of play their position and continue to grow comfortable. But yeah, I think, the defensive secondary in general is going to be the key this week. And I think, Mikey Sainristil is going to be the linchpin for that.
I can dig it. What's your score prediction?
Unfortunately, I think I don't know how well the secondary is going to hold up. So I'm going to make this probably a little bit closer than I normally would in this game. So I'm going to go 24-21 Washington this week.
Okay. 24-21. Sounds reasonable.
I just
Mike,
think they're susceptible to big plays.
definitely so. And Penix can throw the deep ball. He will throw the deep ball on you. Mike, who's your key player, and what do you think the score is going to be?
Mike is muted.
Sorry. If McLaurin isn't playing, if Noah Brown isn't playing, Luke McCaffrey, man, it's time. It is so time to break out. Like you had your touchdown. Maybe that's what was slowing you down, bro. You were like, man, I got to get this touchdown. I got to get this touchdown. Maybe that's why you didn't go down and run the clock out on Sunday because you just had to pop that cherry, so to speak. I'm looking for more. I want more, especially if McLaurin and Brown isn't playing. Don't have Chris Moore come out here cooking, boy. What's wrong with you? Like, show us who you are. You are a McCaffrey. All my life, I ain't never seen a McCaffrey that ain't cooked, bro. Like, we need you, especially Sunday, bro. Like, make me go viral. Cook. 100 yards, multiple touchdowns. Cook these mountains on Sundays just so I can go viral, bro. I'm feeling it.
What's your score prediction?
Oh, I'm going to keep with the Mike from Southwest 24-20 Commanders win. I'm rolling with that score all season.
24-20. That's just going to be what it is every time. Okay. All right. My key player is going to be Von Miller. Penix doesn't generally run a lot, so I think he'll be in the pocket and available to sack. Their offensive line is better than Oakland's, but not great. And I think Von Miller can do some things to make this a very one-dimensional team, more so than they already are. I think the Commanders win this one going away. I'm going to say Commanders. If Terry plays, Commanders 36, Falcons 17. If Terry does not play, Commanders 22, Falcons 14. That's what I say. So,
Man, 14. You got Terry going for 14. Terry going for 2 touchdowns this week.
I think he's impactful enough to, if he doesn't get it himself, open it up for somebody else.
Let's do it.
Oh, and Terrell is injured. I don't know exactly what it is, but I remember seeing something, and our lads has him in red on their website, so he's dealing with an injury. So that's why another reason I went with McCaffrey's personally, because I feel like their secondary might be a little weak.
Well, and as a backup quarterback, I think Mariota was throwing to McCaffrey a lot in the offseason, so they probably have some chemistry too. We'll see what Jalen Lane does. Jalen Lane was phenomenal on that punt return. I just want to see him do it at wide receiver too, because we're really going to need that. All right, our predictions are in the books. We can't change them now. They are stamped and official. All you Commanders fans, thank you for riding with us. If you're a Falcons fan, we appreciate you checking us out. Make sure you are subscribed, leave a comment, talk to us. We'll talk back. Commanders Declassified, we are out of here. Go Commanders. Peace.